I saw some alcohol-based markers at Daiso and I really wanted to try them out. So then I thought, what if I did an entire drawing with all Daiso supplies? So today I'm going to be comparing Daiso supplies and Ohuhu supplies. First, I needed to sketch out some ideas, so I first did this girl that was inspired by a Christmas tree, and I eventually added on a hairband that had a star on it to represent the star that you put on top of the Christmas tree. I gave her little bell, earrings, and one of those Christmas wreath kind of necklaces, but it was actually turned out to become part of her shirt. Those hands were really messy. I just wanted to sketch something out, but then I focused on another idea that was more evolved after that one because the first one was pretty messily drawn, and then I came up with this girl, and again she was based on a Christmas tree, but she also had more of a Christmassy Santa outfit, and I really love that bow that I added right there, and so that outfit that she's wearing kind of represented the other one's outfit, but it was a little more defined. This is my thumbnail that I'm drawing. It is very miniature, but I just did a really messily tiny drawing of what I planned with her holding a present, and then it was time to start on the giant thing. As you can see on the left, my thumbnail was there, and I'm sorry for the camera angle, it's just that it's a little tilted, so the bottom half looks a lot shorter than it does in real life, but you'll see at the very end I take a picture of it to show you guys what it looks like when it's finished. And so here I was just sketching out the face and the head and the hairband. I decided to give her a ponytail, and as I already said earlier, I'm only using those basically 4 colors that I picked out, so her hair was going to be hard because if I used the black one straight onto it, it would just cover up the line art and then her hair would just look like one of those paper printouts. So what I was planning on was that I might do a black base, but more of a diluted black, so a gray, and then add green on top of that so she'd have dark green hair. But anyway, I drew her little Santa outfit, I added the Santa belt, and then I had to sketch out her legs a bunch of times to see what positioning I wanted, but then I decided on this one, and her legs look so short from this camera angle. I'm really sorry about that, but her legs were a lot longer in real life, because right now she looks like, I don't know, she got squeezed together, but that is not the case. I've just finished drawing the present, and then I was ready to do the rest. For the line art, I'm using this Pigma Micron pen, and this was the one thing that I didn't use that belonged to Daiso. I just wanted to get a very clear outline so that I could scan it in later on and have a separate copy of it. And so I just went in with the hair first, and I do line out pretty slowly. Right here, this is the actual time of how it takes, but later on I will speed it up. I kind of messed up on the headband a little bit because I just made it a tiny bit thinner than it was originally planned, but that was alright. And then I went on to the rest of the face. I adjusted a few things as I went just because of the layout that I did, but otherwise the line art was pretty smooth. And then I just took this black eraser and I erased the base, and it was time to go on to the coloring. So here's all the supplies I have from Daiso. I was so excited to see the alcohol-based markers, but then I also have this green fruit liner. It's basically a scented highlighter. And then I also got a green pen just to get a darker green. Here are the 2 packs of alcohol-based markers that I got from Daiso. They're Fluently, there's 2 in each one, and they're actually packaged pretty nicely. And I will explain more about the markers at the end, about the pros and the cons. And here, the white one is actually a blender, but then the black one is a color. And then here are 2 kind of blush colors that I found, but I thought that the red would make a really good color for the Santa suit, and also the peach one would make a nice skin tone as well. 2 tips of the markers are labeled broad and fine, and they also have a color indicator. Here's just the greens that I have. Here's a little insight about these markers. They have a chisel tip and they also have a bullet nib. And my first complaint about the marker though is that they are pretty hard to take the caps off. But here's just a chisel tip. It looks really nice. The good thing is these don't really fall apart that easily, because I've experienced some markers that when you color with them, the nibs just start splitting. Also, the caps don't fit on the back end. I tried putting it on, but it was so loose and it just came off. So I'm starting off with the face, and I'm going carefully around the eye. The bullet nib is actually very precise, but the only thing is, if you use printer paper, alcohol-based markers tend to spread out just because of the liquid that's in them. I'm using printer paper because everything is entirely Daiso, and you can get printer paper from Daiso. which is very convenient, right? So anyway, there's also calligraphy paper there, and if you want me to experiment with the calligraphy paper at Daiso and coloring with alcohol-based markers, I can also do that for you. Just comment it down below, and I can probably get a video soon about that. Blush technique. So I rub the markers together and I start putting it on her cheek, but I realize that the markers are so wet that it takes a while for the colors to transfer to each other. So you're gonna have to do many layers unless you do some red and try and blend it out. I'm sure there's a pink somewhere, but I picked up the red. I was getting a little impatient, so I streaked some red on the face and I tried to blend it out, but this required so much marker ink, and the ink was just soaking through the paper and onto my table. And actually at the very end I got this kind of watercolory thing on the back of my paper. I mean, it was cool, but my heart was pounding. I was like, oh no, is this gonna blend in? But later on it works, and you will see. And I'm just shading in the rest of the face now. One thing that I did not think through was that if you use a ton of marker ink on printer paper, it spreads. And so I messed up the eye and some of around the face, and so I had to go in with my white gel pen, and you'll see that this is a reoccurring problem with the printer paper, that alcohol-based ink spreads. But the gel pen slightly helps. It's just that when you use a lot of ink, which you will see in a second, the gel pen mixes with the marker and it turns into this light pink gel, and it's not that pleasant, and it kind of ruins your drawing. So thank goodness this is, yeah, just printer paper. For the hair I used the green highlighter and I went over it, but then I forgot to put the black base underneath, so I had to do that afterwards with the blush technique, and I used the black and the blender to make some sort of dark gray shading. Don't worry, I will fix the hair later with a green pen because it's darker, but right now I'm just kind of frantically scribbling to make the hair darker, because right now her head looks like a bright light in the, I don't know, Christmas tree. But yeah, her hair was very bright and neon-y, so I needed to get that a little less poppy. So I went on with her wreath necklace. I did the berries, I used the green pen to brush up on the hair a little bit, and then I did the berries leaves and the rest of the wreath. One thing I noticed though was that the blender turned kind of gray, so I just kind of blended the pen, and so it made it really light green, and then I went over it, and then I tried to make it dark, but yeah, the leaves were actually the best part of the green that I've ever done, and then I tried to do the hair technique with the necklace again. Yeah, I'm just really disappointed with the look of all this green. Then I just colored in the body and also the legs and everything else. I used the blender as a layer under because I found that I made a brighter red. The boots, I added some belts to it, but for the other drawing I'm not using belts. And then I just colored the entire rest of it, and it went really well. And then it was time to go and use the Ohuhu markers and see what I could do with the more broad supply list. Also, I whited out the spots that the gel pen couldn't fix, and right there I dotted the eye with a blue pen that I also have from Daiso, and then I put in some gel pens for the parts that I thought wanted to stand out. And I was basically done with my drawing. Again, the gel pen kind of turned pink from the ink, but otherwise I was really happy. This is the drawing I did with Daiso supplies, and now it's time to use Ohuhu. For the Ohuhu markers, I'm starting off with all these skin parts, and then I'm going to color the head and the bow and everything else. This time I drew the bow of the present red, and this made it so that the necklace stood out. For the other drawing, I really disliked the dark green of the hair, so this time I tried different combinations of red and green to make a brown. I finally chose the dark green layered on top of the red, and so I started drawing with the red as a base, and I just sketched this pretty slowly with my marker, and then I put on the green layer. For the belt, I just went in with my black marker, and the boots, I did not add belts this time. I wanted it to be the original, and then I colored the entire thing red. I gel penned some areas that I wanted to fix, and then I added on some blush and colored the eye, and then I went in with a purple marker and shaded all of the spots that I wanted. and I went in with another gel pen and I just decorated the outfit, and I thought it looked so much more unique this way. And then I colored it over with a red to make texture and then put on some more white. This is what it looks like, and here is a side-by-side comparison of the Daiso supplies and the Ohuhu and others. I like the hair and the color scheme much better, and also the shading and decoration on the outfit, but I wish that I had put belts on the Ohuhu one as well. Here's a comparison for the two markers, Fluently and in Ohuhu. So again, it has a chisel tip and a bullet nib. The marker is generally larger than the Ohuhu, the tips are wider, and also the length is longer, but the barrels are about the same. This one has a square barrel, while the Ohuhus are more round. And then here's just a comparison. The tips are actually pretty similar, but the Fluently is slightly larger. The Daiso marker's bullet nib is also a bit longer and has a more pointed tip than the Ohuhu. And right now you can see the markers themselves are different sizes. While the Daiso marker has a label of what color it is, the Ohuhu has a number. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And also, have a Happy New Year, and I'll see you all later. Bye!